topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
Morning, Houston. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got a great show for you this morning. I got to tell you, I always have a little, cheat sheet opening up for each expert. This expert here has been with us over 15 years. I don't need a cheat sheet for him. I want to just open up. I look at tax problems and these companies that promote it on TV, on the internet, and then I'll go to the Google and look them up, and they have so many people, clients, that are upset with them. Either gave them false information, didn't get back with them. I got to tell you, we are so lucky to have Taxation Solutions. I got to tell you, people call us. I don't know why they call us. I guess maybe they feel more comfortable calling us. I have never had a complaint about Taxation Solutions. And you're going to hear over the next 50 minutes, you're going to fall in love with Barry Fowler. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Man, we've been having fun for a while doing this show, haven't we?
We have been doing this for we were doing this since almost radio started. And Barry and I used to have a can with a string tied at each end to do the show. I mean, we've done almost everything. But Barry, I got to tell you, we just started with TikTok about 3 months ago, and a lot of people complain about TikTok. I got to tell you, I love one of the features TikTok offers. One of them is they show you how many people are watching. But this is the one I really like. When you're watching a TikTok show and you like the show, you can click on the screen and it tells you how many likes you've got. So we're just starting the show right now, Barry, and you've already got 867 likes already, and we're just starting the show.
Hey, we got those likes and I didn't even do makeup. Oh, come on.
So, Barry, we've got all these new viewers now. You've got to tell people about Taxation Solutions.
Taxation Solutions is a tax relief company, meaning if you got IRS problems, and so many people in the United States have problems with the IRS, even state tax problems, and you're looking for a way to fight the IRS, fight what you owe, reduce it down to something that is reasonable for you. Maybe it may be offering compromise. It might be installment agreement. It might be non-collectible status. It might be partial pay, installment agreement. We have a lot of options to work within the IRS, within their rules, within the regulations to get you the best deal possible. And some people say, hey, I can do it myself. Hey, that's why we're here. We're going to talk, and we're going to talk about what you can do, what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, what gets you in more trouble. But Taxation Solutions walks you through this to get you the tax relief that you need to save yourself from the IRS and probably the worst collection company there is in the world.
Barry, you know what? I think the most important thing that I want to get across on this show, because I've learned from you, is not try to handle the IRS by yourself, because they are probably the most successful collection agency in the world. And when people go up again, it's like David and Goliath. Now I know David won, but going up against them by yourself, because I've learned from you, you can say the wrong thing to them and get you in even a deeper hole.
So to put this in the perspective you were putting it in, David versus Goliath, there were many people, warriors, that went against Goliath before David.
Yes.
With no success. And that's like you as an individual taxpayer without a David to stand there and fight the battle for you. And we're your David. We've got that sling and the rock and every other tool in our toolbox that's going to go up against them and fight them. What happens is you call the IRS and, they're overbearing. I always mention this because I love this line that if you hear, hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, you're supposed to run. I mean, Ronald Reagan back in the 80s said, hey, the best when he said it. And he wasn't just talking about the IRS. He was talking about pretty much every branch of government that's out there. And you need help when you're fighting the IRS. If you have the money and can do a full payment plan, by all means, pick up the phone, call the IRS, go to irs.gov, set up your payment plan, pay the full amount that they need and require from you, and you have no problems. But if you can't afford that, you don't have the money to make those payments, then instead of going up against Goliath, you call us here at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. And let us be your David and take them down. Get you the lowest payment plan or non-collectible status or even that offer and compromise. Get you the best solution you qualify for. Don't fall for the, hey, I'm going to get you a fresh start that the government puts out there and many companies do. That fresh start is fresh money. That's the way I look at it. You are fresh meat, fresh money for the government. And they're going to try to take everything that you have and solve your tax debt for you by the only solution that the government knows is take the money, and take the money. That's it.
What is the biggest mistake people make when they try to talk to the IRS themselves, Barry?
Giving way too much information at the start. I mean, that's really the whole goal of the government and the IRS is to collect money from you. So you're giving them way too much information without documentation or without support. When we go up against the IRS, before we're going to go and tell them where everything is at, we're going to go ahead and get all the forms filled out, get everything that you have written down, figured out, and come up with what's going to be the ideal solution to your tax problem. And then we'll go to the IRS, present that to them, and show them that this is the reasonable collection amount, the reasonable amount they can get from you, or file that offer and compromise and prove to the IRS that, hey, this is the only thing you can pay and you qualify for it, without having to give them every single thing before we're ready to go for that solution. Why give them a roadmap and make it easy? They're going to find it on their own as it is, but you're going to lay out, the GPS to everything you have in that brief conversation. And you could say something that, hey, you're answering a question, seems like a simple and easy question, like no big deal, like where do you bank? And you tell them, you just gave them that roadmap to find it easier than, them having to do some work. So, get some help, whether it's us or somebody else. Make sure they're qualified. Make sure they are like us. We have an A+ rating at the BBB, and make sure you're dotting your I's, crossing your T's and checking people out before you go working with them. We get too many people that call us and say, hey, I hired XYZ tax relief, and these guys are terrible. They haven't done anything. I had this older lady who hadn't filed a 5500 form, which is for her solo 401k. For whatever reason, the way they set it up, she had to file that form every year. She went to one of those bigger companies that she heard on the radio. They charged her a bunch of money, did nothing, came to us, and we were able to go in, get a solution, get an extension, and put all that in place within a day.
Wow.
So complete difference in the way sometimes we can handle things versus the way other people handle things. So you've really got to watch who you're working with.
And Barry, you also handle businesses, not just individuals. What are some of the biggest mistakes businesses make?
Well, it's really funny. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make is not filing their company return because they don't know how they're supposed to file. And then they go to their CPA, EA, tax preparer, and they go, hey, I'm, XYZ company, and I'm just me. And then you come to find out that that EIN actually had a multi-member and you required a partnership return, or you were a incorporated business and you were required to file an 1120 and somebody filed an 1120S and it was an incorrect filing. So you've got to get those things fixed. So we see that happening all the time. We were able to, with a company who we were working with, that we found out that they hadn't filed 2023s, 2024s, and didn't get an extension for 2025. So we started working with him and got those returns filed, got 25 done as well. And then we went to the IRS and appealed to get the penalties reduced. We got penalties reduced for all 3 of those years. And so he actually owed no money to the IRS for filing late because his preparer did things incorrectly or didn't file the returns for him. So, those are the things that we work with. And then on top of that, this is the worst: payroll taxes. If you are in business and you don't pay your payroll taxes, that's like putting a nail in a coffin. It's closing that door. It's basically sealing the fate of your business unless you work through that issue to start getting payroll taxes paid back to the IRS and trying to avoid trust fund penalties assessed against everybody that's a responsible party in the company. And so you hire us and we fight for you to save your company from what the IRS is about to do to you. And if you ignore it, the IRS can shut you down and take everything you have. So you need to find a way to get started, and you need protection. So call us here at Taxation Solutions, a free consultation, free call, 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. Or just go to taxationsolutions.net, fill out our form, and we'll be in touch with you as soon as possible.
Barry, I am dying to read this to you. We just got a text on TikTok. They have like candles on TikTok. And so this one is Kiki. He said, I just found your show. This company did my father's taxes that he had owed to the IRS for 5 years. And he came out owing very little. I just want to tell people, because we went to one of those big companies and got screwed around so bad. But when I saw you have Taxation Solutions on, I just had to write and let people know this is a legit company. Did you know you're a legit company, Barry? And they did a great job for our family. Wow.
Thank you. I mean, I can't express my thanks for something like that. Sometimes it's amazing. We have a client we actually have gone back and filed 10 years of tax returns for. And, IRS was claiming he owed over $100,000. Well, they did a lot of SFR, substitute for returns. And all those are done in the IRS's favor. When we finished filing all those returns, he was down to owing maybe $1,000. And he goes, "So what can you do?" I said, the best thing for you to do is just go in and pay it. You got the $1,000, just pay it. You don't need a payment plan. You don't need it. You don't need us to do anything for you. Just make the payment. And he's like, "That's what I was thinking, but I just wasn't sure." He goes, "But, can I set up an installment agreement?" I said, "Why? Just pay the $1,000 if you have it. If you don't, send them a little bit of money. Send them 500 now, 500 later." But fixing returns, sometimes getting them filed is the best way to go. We look at all that and decide, hey, this is the best thing for you. If the SFR is close to statute of limitations, we may not mess with it. But again, if it's going to save you a bunch of money, we want to fix things and make things right, and then go for the solution or whatever we need to do from there. But people like that, we run across all the time that they've gone somewhere else and they call us, and we turn around and fix it the right way and follow through and get things done.
Well, since this person is watching the show, Barry, you have a show right after this one.
Absolutely. That's why I love doing this one right before my show. We have Tax Talk for you. We follow this right up at 9:00 Eastern time here on W4CY Radio. So you can just stay tuned and watch our show, right after this. We're going to be talking about Tax Relief 101.
Oh,
going right back to the beginning.
Wow.
Hey, maybe you want to do it yourself. Maybe you just want to learn about, what we do to start this tax process and come up with the right solution and figure out, hey, where it needs to go. Tune into that show. We're going to be talking about, everything nuts and bolts just from the beginning of tax relief.
From reading a lot of these emails that come in, Barry, one of the biggest things I never realized is people haven't picked up the phone because they're embarrassed. And you have this, I love this expression, the no judgment zone.
We don't want to pass judgment on anybody. We've heard it all. I mean, very seldom am I surprised by, reasons why somebody's in tax debt. Life happens. And that's the way we look at it. Life is going to happen. But sitting there and watching the IRS take everything is not what you should be doing. Taking those IRS letters and throwing them into, the trash can without opening them and reading them is not what you should be doing. We got to be responsive. We've got to answer to the IRS. They're going to get what they're going to get regardless. Just because you don't pick up a certified letter doesn't mean they're not coming after you. So give us a call. We're not going to pass judgment. We're going to ask you questions. We want to know what happened and why. We want to make sure that from the day that you start working with us till that solution in place and then beyond, that you're becoming in compliance. You understand what the IRS is trying to do. And then you're looking for ways in every way possible to reduce the taxes that you owe year in and year out. And then especially finding a way to get you out from under that big, heavy rock that's weighing you down of the tax debt you're now dealing with at the IRS, that you just were too afraid to make that phone call. You didn't want to man up and deal with it. You thought it was better just to let it sit and lay there, and maybe they won't do anything, maybe they will, but it puts so much stress on you and your family that hiring Taxation Solutions lifts a lot of that weight and burden right off your shoulders. So that feeling of embarrassment, that feeling of, oh my God, I got to explain to somebody what happened. I owe all this money. It's so embarrassing to talk to somebody about that. You go, man, I should have made this phone call to Taxation Solutions a long time ago, because it's such a relief to be able to say, hey, somebody else is dealing with this debt, dealing with the IRS, and I don't have to.
Barry, what do you tell people that aren't filing your taxes because they don't have the money to pay?
The IRS is going to file for you. And you really want the IRS to file on your behalf. I mean, think about it. And most people don't even really think about what the IRS does. They send you a letter saying, hey, we demand your return. We demand that you got to file. You have until this day to file. Then all of a sudden the IRS says, hey, guess what? We are filing on your behalf. And you think, hey, that's great. I didn't have to spend the money to file, and I'm doing really good. It was expensive to spend that money to get a tax return done, and I just didn't want to do it. Now the IRS has done that. They've saved me the burden. And then you get the tax bill. And so when the IRS does the substitute for return, they don't take your deductions. They don't go, oh, you've got 4 kids, so you don't get child tax credits. Oh, you're married. Well, sometimes they'll put in a married filing joint, but then they leave off the standard deduction. Or they file you as single and leave off the standard reduction. They leave off every tax credit that you could possibly qualify for. And then you are an independent contractor or self-employed, however you want to look at it, and you got a 1099 for, I don't know, let's say $150,000, and they have no business expenses. So they charge you 15.3% self-employment tax on that full $150,000. Then they charge you the federal tax rate on that full $150,000. And guess what? You're now owing $40,000, $50,000 to the IRS for that 1 year. Eventually, they get around to doing the next couple of years as well. And now you're at $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 that you owe. So, you've got to get them filed. You can't wait for the IRS to do it on your behalf. And then that tax debt, if you do come to us or somebody else and you get that filed, your tax debt's reduced immediately because you file the returns correctly. But the rest of the balance that you have due, we can work out payment arrangements or offering compromise or put you in non-collectible status, whatever status that you qualify for, we're going to prove and we're going to get you and get it in place.
Barry, tell people how they can reach you.
Hey, that number is, and I know I don't give this out enough. You keep reminding me this is, we've got to get the number out to get help to people. And I keep forgetting because we keep talking about it, how to help yourselves. And we talk about it, a little bit how we help you. But call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. Or simply go over to taxationsolutions.net. Again, that's taxationsolutions.net. Or find us on Facebook. You can look up Taxation Solutions over there on Facebook. We've got offices around the country that we help people from. Those offices are mostly us to meet with the IRS. We do most everything via telephone or messaging. So we are helping people in every state across the country every year, all the time.
This is from Lori in the Heights. She wants to know what percent of your clients find out that the IRS figures that they send you are wrong on what they owe.
It's about 50-50.
Wow.
It really depends on their situation. We get a lot of people that the IRS has filed those SFRs for, and those are completely wrong. We have other people who the IRS has come back and adjusted a return for something that shouldn't be adjusted, so we can go in and fix that as well. And then other people have filed and their returns are what the IRS is following. Some of those have used preparers that have been more than unscrupulous and caused them problems and issues with their returns. So we go in and fix those as well. Other people have people that prepared returns and haven't taken every deduction possible. We can go in and fix that as well. So sometimes when the IRS numbers are correct, they're using the wrong numbers because the preparer did something wrong as well. So, we do run into that quite a bit, and we hope to fix those problems and get it to the correct number. And now if the IRS has adjusted a number and it went down, we'll probably stay with the IRS number. We don't need to increase the number they're saying is good. So we've seen that as well, where the IRS has been, under the number that it should be. But that happens in some instances as well.
This is from Arthur in Montrose. He said, I appreciate your show. I'm sure you have explained this before, but this is my second time listening to the show. I missed most of when you were explaining about offer and compromise. What is that?
Offer and compromise is what everybody promises. The moon, the star, the sun, you name it. That is that golden chalice, I guess you would say. And, when you're calling one of the other companies out there, a lot of times that's what they're promising they're going to get you. That offer and compromise is where you go to the IRS and file forms 433, A and B if required, plus the form 656, and you make an offer on the amount you owe. Now, you can offer based on doubt to liability, meaning that, hey, the numbers are completely wrong and you shouldn't owe this. Effective tax administration, you're asking for mercy on the IRS to just adjust things. Or you can offer based on doubt to collectability. And so those are the three different types of offers that are out there. Doubt to collectability, you've actually got to prove that you have no assets available to pay, meaning you don't have equity in a home or land or property, even equipment or anything else you own won't help pay the debt down or has no value. They also look at your income. They look at retirement accounts. They look at basically everything in your life to determine whether you can pay the IRS or not. Once you have been deemed to have nothing available, then the IRS would accept an offer and compromise based on what is, in the IRS's eyes, collectible. Now, we often, at times when we do file an offer and compromise, we know our numbers are going to be good. We have a 99% acceptance rate when we file offers and compromise. The only time we don't get an offer and compromise accepted is generally when somebody doesn't follow the rules that we have to set down for our clients, or the money that they were going to pay on the offer they spent. And so, we look at that. They didn't stay in compliance. They spent all the money. So that offer ends up being withdrawn because they don't have the ability to make the payment that they promised to make, or somebody lies on their form and doesn't tell us about property that they own that the IRS will find. But that offer and compromise gets you a complete reduction of your liability and settles your debt once and for all. However, it comes with one caveat, and that is 100% compliance from the date that you file the offer till 5 years after the offer is accepted. You fall out of compliance anytime during that time period, and your offer automatically gets rejected, and all the debt is back on you, plus penalties and interest. So you got to be very conscious about what you're doing if you're going to file for an offer and compromise, whether you're using us or somebody else. You got to make sure that you're keeping your I's dotted and your T's crossed and staying in compliance with the IRS as well.
Barry, how many of your new clients are totally honest with you on everything that they owe?
Well, after we finish talking to them, almost 100%. Now, we've had some people in the past that have completely lied to us and hid property to get an offer and compromise in. And so now, we basically, with each and every one of our clients, explain more in detail than we used to about fraud provisions that the IRS has. So if we are going after an offer in compromise, you better be 100% honest with us, because the IRS is going to find it. Don't think that the IRS doesn't check. If we're going after even a partial pay installment agreement, the IRS does a lot of background and checks and balances to make sure you're reporting everything correctly. We've had people who, maybe don't report a car or two that they own, and they gave it to their kids. Well, that car is part of their assets. They can't just give something away. We've had the IRS come back and say, hey, what about these other 5 cars? And, honestly, talk to our clients, and they don't have them. They trash them, junk, whatever it is, but the IRS sees that the title never changed out of their hands. So the IRS can check everything. So that's why we talk about being 100% upfront and honest with us, because the IRS checks a lot of things to make sure that you're reporting everything properly. And the last thing we want you to do is do something improper, commit fraud by lying to the IRS, because you sign every document before we file with the IRS. And it's on the document under penalties of perjury that this is true and correct. So make sure you're reading that. I mean, I tell people the same thing on tax returns. Don't just blindly sign a tax return, whether we prepare it or somebody else prepares it. Review it, read what you're signing, understand the document, understand your taxes. I understand you don't need to know all the tax rules and don't need to know everything as well as we do, but you do need to understand that, hey, look, we're getting all the tax deductions for you. We're doing everything we can. And, here's, your financials, here's what you provided, and these are the numbers. So, read it before you sign it. And my dad always said it best. Just because you're putting something in front of you by somebody you may trust doesn't mean it's always 100% correct. Ask questions. Read the document. We were at, to make a long story short, we were at a closing on some property, and they gave us documents, and I sat there, pulled out my reading glasses to read it. And she says, all you got to do is sign. I went, what? She goes, well, we only have so much time. And I went, no, we're going to sit here and read this whole document. My wife and I both sat and read that whole document. And at the end of it, she looked at me and she goes, nobody does that. I said, that's why people get in trouble. So read before you sign. That's my soapbox for today. Read before you sign. Anything you have to sign, read. You want to make sure that everything is truly correct so you don't have problems with the IRS.
This is from Norm in Sugarland. A friend knows about your show and knew I'd be listening today, and he wants me to ask you about hardship deferral. What is that?
I guess we should go, Norm. Oh, God, that dates me, doesn't it? So I guess we were watching Cheers here, too. Hardship deferral, currently non-collectible status is really what it is. Means the IRS is going to give you a year or two to get your life back in order. Now, if your life never changes and your income stays the same, they'll probably never bother you again. But if they see something increase, your income increase, something like that, they're going to come back and ask you to start paying, somewhere in there. But that deferral gives you time to reset your life to start paying the IRS. Now, we use that currently non-collectible to buy you those 2 years out there, because that's generally what you're going to get to maybe reset your life. Now, a lot of times we're talking to our clients and they're not really resetting their life. They're not going to do anything. They're not foreseeing any increase in income. So we use that to protect assets and let the debt sit and hopefully run out through statute of limitations. Statute of limitations runs 10 years from the date that you filed. They do add time to it if you've done collection due process hearings, or you filed offer in compromise. Things like that will stop the statute from running. But if we're looking at it, maybe you got a year or two on some of them, and non-collectible status will help a couple of years go away. We want to use that as much as we can, especially if you're seeing, hey, maybe I can change my life situation here in the next few years to increase my income to start paying the debt down. And you have, like I said, you have other assets you want to protect. But if, we're looking at it and going, hey, you owe $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, whatever that number is, $1 million, and your life is maybe going to change in the next couple of years. Maybe you're going to see a lot of income coming in a few years, but you have no assets now. We don't want to use non-collectible status. We want to put you in an offer in compromise to get rid of the debt and not worry about it. And then you continue your life. And when things change in a couple of years down the road and you're making a ton of money, you're not paying anything back to the IRS. So there's different ways of doing this. Each way that we've got to look at has got to match the taxpayer and your situation. Not what feels comfortable here today, but what's also going to be the best for you down the road in your future. If you're on Social Security and that's all you're ever going to be on, and you qualify, why spend the money on offering compromise? You're going to stay in non-collectible status until the debt falls off, and we're not going to worry about it. Yeah, you get letters every year, but hey, all the letter says is you still have this and we still have you in non-collectible, so there's nothing to do. And sometimes that's the most beautiful way of taking care of tax debt as well.
Let me just remind our TikTok audience, just tap the screen. We don't ask for gifts. If you like the show, tap the screen as many times as you want. Give us a follow. We're talking to Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions today. And I think at the beginning of the show, Barry, I was telling you we already have about 800 and something likes. This show right now, it was still about 10 minutes to go, 5,500 and something and change in likes. People like you, Barry.
Man, I think it's you, Steve-O. I'm just here talking about taxes and tax debt and getting
I'm
taxes.
the co-pilot. So I want to tell everybody also, Barry has a show right after the show at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And again, what are you talking about today, Barry?
It's Tax Relief 101. Man, we're going right back to the beginning. What you need to do from the time you get that first letter to putting a solution in place. So we want to talk about tax relief. How do you get it? Where do you need to go? What do you need to do? And, how does it build, from there? So we're going all the way back to the beginning class of Tax Relief 101.
Wow. We are also, Barry's with us twice every month. We'll be doing our national show. But if you've got a question on TikTok, please put it in the chat line and we'll try to get that in. We still got about 8 or 9 minutes left. Barry, here's a question that comes up a lot lately. I don't know why so much, but this is from Meyerland, Jonathan from Meyerland. What is an innocent spouse?
Innocent spouse.
Barry laughs when he gets thousands of these questions always.
Well, it's kind of like this. It's like, how do you answer this in a tax-related world versus being kind of funny about, hey, your wife did something or your husband did something and you were completely innocent. You didn't know about it. Whether they stole something, committed a murder or whatever it is, but we're not talking about that. But that's why I was kind of laughing about it. I was like, how do I do this without going down that path. Well, I just did, I guess. Innocent spouse, your husband, your wife, your spouse did something completely wrong on your taxes and you weren't aware of it. Maybe they signed the return on your behalf. Maybe they just handed you the return and said, hey, sign here, and you trust your spouse. So you signed it. You had no clue. They're running their business. They filed a return. Maybe you didn't even know that you owned part of the business, or maybe, on Schedule C, they lied completely on it. Maybe they didn't have a business and they just made one up to reduce taxes, showing a loss on a business, but you had no knowledge. And, you can prove that. Well, there is a thing with the IRS where you can go and ask for innocent spouse. We work with people and sometimes the spouse will call us, we'll talk to them. If you've got knowledge about it and you knew about it and you knew what they were doing, you're not going to get innocent spouse. You're as guilty as they are, unfortunately. And we have to tell people that right up front. But then again, there's other situations where you have no knowledge. The spouse actually signed the return for you. You never saw it. And, we can go to the IRS. We can prove that. We can file for the innocent spouse. Now, your spouse can fight it, say, no, she knew, he knew, whatever it is. And they can fight that all they want. But as long as we can prove that you had no knowledge of it, then no benefit of it, that you can get removed from that tax debt. And we do that. We're working a case right now that it was the wife that did a lot wrong. He never signed a return, never saw a return. He is completely innocent. We asked him some questions and trying to figure out what was going on. And he said, all I know is my wife was running her business and had her own preparer, and he prepared everything. And then I gave her the information, and then we got our refund or whatever. I didn't really think about it. Well, you're educated. Well, I didn't think about it. I have been doing this job for many years, but I don't ever think about taxes and what needs to happen. She was taking care of it. So, we're going after innocent spouse for him to get him removed from that tax debt completely, if possible.
Well, this is from Jerry in Tomball. How will it affect my credit if the IRS puts a tax lien on me?
Well, here's the funny part, and we're not supposed to tell anybody this because everybody thinks that IRS debt affects your credit. It really doesn't.
Wow.
So the liens will affect your ability to borrow money on any property that you have, because once a mortgage company or lender goes to put a lien on your property and before they close, they do a search on it, they will find that there is a lien on your house, maybe your cars, maybe your business, whatever it is. And you won't be able to borrow money at that point. But for the credit rating itself, if you go out and buy something or open new credit lines or something like that, nobody's really going to know. But a lot of times you're going to hear, oh, yes, how bad this is. It's terrible. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. It just doesn't happen anymore. They're not allowed to report to the credit agencies that you have this tax debt. It kind of took away some of their big hammer on you because people don't see it on your credit report anymore. But that lien can be devastating when you go to sell your house or borrow money on your house or property or anything else out there. So there are a lot of other ways that the IRS can affect you on your credit going forward in the future.
Greg in Houston wants to know, can the IRS seize my bank account without notifying me first?
Well, if you've gotten that final notice of intent to levy anytime in the previous past, whether it's you went and picked up that certified letter or not, Or maybe you didn't change your address and they sent out a final notice of intent to levy to the address that is on file. That is considered constructively received, whether you got it or not. Now, the IRS is very, very strict in following those rules. Sometimes they do fail, and we can prove that they failed by looking and seeing in their system where they did not send out these letters, but that is very rare these days. Their computerized system is very good at sending out electronic letters or sending out letters to you. So that system generates the letters, mails them out, and they have a definitive process that they go through to make sure that these letters have gone out to you. And then they will levy your bank account. Now, like I said, they are very good at getting these letters out. So if maybe you have tax debt from 3 or 4 years ago and they sent it out, the first year, which would have been, 2 or 3 years ago, they sent out that final notice of intent to levy. Anytime they want to, they can levy your bank account. They don't have to send out another notice to you. And when they send out that final notice of intent to levy within 30 to 45 days, your account is going to be levied. And so you got to be prepared. Do you know when? Well, if you talk to them and you gave them when your paydays are, somebody at the IRS already made a note that you get paid on this, 1st and 15th or, every other Friday. And guess what? It's that Friday or the 1st or the 15th that they levy your bank account. And now they have your attention, don't they?
Yeah.
And now you're trying to figure out how to make that mortgage payment, rent payment, utility bill payment, car payment, any payment, maybe even trying to buy food, and there's nothing in that account. That's a hard and tough day for you and your family.
Richard in Rosenberg wants to know, can your firm get my penalties forgiven?
Yes, no, and maybe. We are usually very good about it. We generally, once we do tax analysis, we'll tell you what we're going to do. We're not going to charge you up front for the penalty relief after we do the tax analysis. We only earn money on getting penalty relief if we are successful. So it makes us try even harder to be successful because we're going to only earn when we are successful. But we want to do that tax analysis and determine what we can do, can't do, and how we can help you, and maybe how we can fix things that make things better for you as well while we're going after the penalty relief. But it starts with calling us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016.
Barry, I'm going to ask you this. I rarely ask you this, but what the heck? We have a couple minutes left. What is the difference between Taxation Solutions and other companies out there?
We do what we say. That's basically it. When we talk to you, we're not trying to sell you that pipe dream. We are trying to tell you what reality is and what we can do and offer our services to you. If you choose not to use us, God bless you. We wish you the best. If you choose to work with us, we're going to get you the best solution you could possibly qualify for. We're going to work with you diligently to get that solution and put it in place. We're going to talk to you along every step along the way and stay in communication with you. And that's what our goal is. So call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016, or just go to taxationsolutions.net and put in your information over there, and we will arrange a time to call you and talk to you and get moving in the right direction. Man, I always appreciate this show, Steve-O. I really love it here on Ask the Experts. Mention Ask the Experts when you call, and we'll give you a special discount. And then stay tuned to us at Tax Talk for you right after the show coming up here at 10 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock here in Houston.
Bro, love doing the show with you. Look, we got 7,100 something likes, so I guess we're doing something right.
God bless you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great week, and we'll be talking soon.
Yes, that's Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions. Folks, don't do this yourself, give Taxation Solutions a call. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back again with you tomorrow with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.